Would you like to just describe what it is you are proposing at the moment?
The system that I'm proposing is basically trying to leverage a bit of AI, a bit of deterministic algorithms to create a next best test predictor to overall make the diagnostic pathway a lot more efficient.
But you're not actually talking about using AI to change the quality of a test per se. We're not talking about having to resubmission. We're using AI to be able to look at something better. There's lots of people doing that, but we're not talking about
No,
that.
so we're not saying that AI is changing the tests. The submissions stay the same, the physical test stays the same. What I think is the biggest change here is how we pick the tests that we use. That's the big change that AI is going to have on diagnostics. There is a little bit of nuance here, which is that by picking the right test at the right time, you can get a bit more information out of the tests you use and therefore bump up the value of those tests.
So maybe it'd be useful to explain what would be different to me, even right now, going onto a large language model discussion and asking it what my next diagnostic test should be. What would be the difference between what is now there with the LLM and what you are suggesting?
The LLMs are extremely capable, and I don't want to come out and say that this will never be something that they can't do. They move incredibly quickly. But there's a couple of ways that this system might offer some big benefits over them. The major one is using data and patient context really clearly to enhance the value of tests and get the most information out of them. The other way that it might have a big effect is being able to tune it not just for patients, but also for healthcare systems as a whole, taking into account availability of certain tests, the sustainability angle and the cost angle at the same time.
What we're really thinking about here is really where future diagnostic systems are data collection devices.
Yeah.
And the quality of maybe our suggested next step is actually will improve as the quality of the data and actually the depth of that data improves.
Yes.
And it's not purely about, it's the longitudinal data, it's the context.
It's a cliche to say we should capture more and more data, but it is actually valuable. And by capturing all that data, we can use the right test at the right time. So that means the patient's history or entire history, all that context there. And also importantly for improving tests in the future, making sure we follow those patients after our specific test, which really goes beyond the post-market surveillance angle here. I'm following them all the way until the end of their treatment. To ensure that we can learn from the eventual outcome and improve the algorithms surrounding the tests that we use.
And that might be opportunities or might be include things like actually your doctor's notes, what the doctor's saying to you, ultimately what you're collecting on your wrist on a daily basis. Saying there are, I think if we think about this, there really are opportunities for obviously diagnostic manufacturers, but also consumer electronics, people who are electronic health records. There are opportunities throughout that spread to actually contribute to something which can improve healthcare and health outcomes.
On the collection side, it's about making sure that we have the technologies to collect as much data as possible without putting an extra onerous burden on doctors. And on the flip side, making sure that everybody who's involved in handling any sort of medical data is enabled to do so more effectively. As you say, any systems that are handling electronic health records, any systems that are looking at discussions between doctors and patients, trying to formalize them, shove them into the data banks.
And obviously, clearly, not only we're not talking about purely in vitro diagnostics, we're talking about imaging systems, X-rays, MRIs, all of this.
Yeah, we're talking about every kind of diagnostic test.
So the people who are doing AI for imaging are also part of that community we're already talking about. what are the barriers? I mean, there are things which we could do. I know, think about this and what we do in getting an FDA approval in our clinical trials. We have data which tells how well the test works. When the test doesn't work, we know the cost of a test. We know reimbursement rates of tests.
Yeah.
If it is potentially so good, why hasn't it been done?
There aren't really any technological barriers here. We've got the data. We've got the data to make a minimum viable product. We use that data to do regulatory submissions. We've got the voice transcription. We've got electronic health records. We might need to make some of those physician choices, move them from being implicit choices to being explicit.
Yeah.
So that they can be coded up, but that's perfectly possible. I think the main problem here is that we don't have a clear cheerleader, and that leader needs to be really someone that can fully realize the benefits of savings across the diagnostic pathway.
So we're talking really about a healthcare provider or an insurer, and if we're being parochial, we'd be talking about the NHS.
Yeah, so like the NHS is actually really, really well positioned to do something like this. Like the UK's country of 70 odd million people. Yeah. It's all under one healthcare provider who looks after you from cradle to grave. So it's got that full longitudinal data set and interest.
And it has a 10-year plan which shouts what we're trying to do.
So they're already thinking
community and from analog to digital is clearly should be something they should be thinking about, and hopefully they are thinking about.
Yeah. And if they can actually go about implementing either this or something similar and fully realizing the opportunity from their massive reams of data, that'll enable them to be a lot more efficient. And eventually, once they get a full handle of that in the UK, a lot of other healthcare systems across the world are experiencing exactly the same challenges. And so then it's just about trying to use that technology that's been developed here and offer those benefits across the world.
I'm sure there are plenty of people who are thinking about this very same thing right now. How do we stop it being something where we have many walled gardens and actually move to an environment where we can all succeed? Or how could we overcome those risks?
Yeah, so the kind of risk in a lot of these things is that with the new technology, we invent new ways to make things inefficient rather than ironing out those inefficiencies. It all comes back down to making sure it's an integrated system, making sure everybody who's got a stake in this ends up virtually or in reality in the same room. So that's the data analysts and the diagnostic manufacturers, the financial guys looking after things, and also the patient-centered doctors and clinicians to all integrate this fully into a system that can fully realize these efficiencies over the whole diagnostic pathway.
And I think for sitting here as somebody who develops diagnostic systems, I think one of the greatest opportunities here we have, this is changing healthcare, changing the efficiency of healthcare, but actually also changing the story about diagnostics. For once we can really clearly start talking about the value and demonstrate that value. Diagnostics is so often people talk about the cost of doing something, the reimbursement rate, very little, not enough about actually you have saved so much money, but the value of doing this now and doing the right thing now is so big.
Yeah, it's trying to make sure that you get the savings from avoided outcomes further down the line included in your value of doing a diagnostic test now, which current systems really struggle to
So, I mean, not only this is a system which actually enables better diagnosis, better outcomes, but actually could be something which could fully underwrite almost the value-based healthcare environment we've been trying to talk about for the last decade.
Yeah,
it could be truly enabling in thinking about value-based healthcare.
Yeah, I think this is one of the key steps, to being able to do what we wanted to do for decades at this point.
Yeah.
and actually concretely implement it.
You're great if we could.
Fingers crossed, right?